Hello and welcome to The Success Rate. I'm Thuli Magubane. This is where we talk about different people's journey to success. As our byline says, there's no such thing as an overnight success. And a gentleman you are very familiar with. If you're not, where have you been? Our guest today is Mr. Thebe Ikalafeng. He is a brand guru, if we can call him that. That's what he is known for. He is one of the trailblazers in the industry, and he's made many strides, and he loves traveling. We're going to touch on his latest book as well, called The Traveler, and get some nuggets from him when it comes to success. Thebe, welcome.
Thank you so much, Thuli.
It's a pleasure having you.
Thank you. On a Saturday.
You have to do it whenever,
right.
people are available. So you're from Kimberley.
Born and raised. Beautiful.
So
country.
how
Beautiful
old?
city, almost a beautiful country.
Oh, well, it seems like a country on its own.
Actually, it is a country because Kimberley built Johannesburg, so it is a country.
True. So how old were you when you first saw the big Kimberley hole? And what was your impression when you saw it?
So from my house, I grew up in a township in Galeshewe. So from my house, maybe, my math may be bad, but maybe 300-400 meters is the old Kimberley mine. So that I grew up with that pit, that hole.
Yes.
There in front of us. But it was the first mine which they left open for years.
Yes.
And people used to run there and kill themselves.
Oh, okay.
So we used to see the Black Maria, whatever they call it now, the mortuary car driving. When we see it, we run after it as kids.
Something has happened.
Somebody's jumped into the mine, not to swim.
Yes, yeah.
To get closer to their maker.
Yeah.
So that's the first one. But the funny thing is, the real famous Kimberley mine,
Yes.
I only saw as an adult.
Yes, yeah.
Long after I'd left Kimberley.
Wow.
Long after I've studied. Long after I'd been to many places.
I must confess as well, I was an adult last year.
And I'm thinking this must be 5 years or so ago.
Wow.
That's what I'm saying. It's quite late in life.
Yeah.
And guess what's the funny thing? I used to have a job just behind it.
Wow.
I used to work at Kimberley Klein Brothers.
Yes, yeah.
In Kimberley, and the mine was behind us.
Yes, yeah.
But now remember seeing it behind and
seeing it there. Yes, for me it
things.
was quite an experience to say finally I'm seeing this big famous.
Me too.
Kimberley hole.
Were you disappointed the way I was? I was like, is this it?
Really, you expected more?
We expected more. I mean, of course, we took the elevators, go down the shafts, and saw the different parts. So that was all a new experience, and going to the vault where they still have some diamonds.
Yes, yeah.
So that was
I guess the whole experience around it then makes it worthwhile, but the actual hole itself.
That was a disappointment. I was disappointed.
Really?
We expected it to be bigger, except mouth can swallow the city, but it didn't.
No, but I'm glad that you eventually saw it.
I had to.
And I'm sure maybe there's some people in Kimberley who've never been to actually view it.
But it's the same with everything else, right? So, I was deputy chairperson for tourism for the country.
Yes.
And one of the things that we wanted to do is to get South Africans to travel South Africa. And so when you live here and this thing is in front of you, it's not such a low-hanging fruit. It's not the first thing you think of.
Oh,
so
that's true.
That's perhaps why I never went to it. I kept saying, I'm sure I'll get to it.
Yes, yeah.
I'm from Kimberley. It must be easy, but it gets harder.
But I think your province is one of those that's least visited. I mean,
I know.
And I personally love the Northern Cape. I've done a lot of work in the Northern Cape, and I love going to the Northern Cape. And people just will go everywhere else in South Africa except for the Northern Cape.
Wait, and the original people are from there. The San
people. Yes, yeah.
The San people are from the Northern Cape. You think that we as a province will drive that story as well. Maybe we haven't done a good job to tell us the Kimberley story. I think that's actually the problem. We haven't done a good job of telling the
Kimberley. But not only Kimberley, the Northern Cape story.
The Northern Cape story, actually. I mean, even for me as a Kimberley person, I never even went to go see to the northern parts of Kimberley to go see the San people or where they come from. I only just know Kimberley, Warrenton, that part of
the Northern Cape, yes,
the small part of the Northern Cape that's known. Not the touristy part.
Well, you should go to Namakwa.
I must go to Namakwa.
Especially when the flowers are in season, which is usually early spring.
But I'm always on the road, so
Yeah.
so I always say to myself, which one first?
True.
First, I've been to every province because I had to, because I'm South African. I've been to the capitals of every province, but I really need to see more of our country, and we need to get more people to see more of
More
our
of the
country,
country.
because we've got a beautiful country. It's incredible diversity of fauna, flora, biodiversity. It's a cradle of humankind. Our country, our continent, our country.
So taking a step back, growing up in Kimberley, you always talk about the role your mother and your grandmother played in your life in shaping you to be the man that you are today. I mean, what are some of those nuggets that were shared that you've taken through with you in your entire life?
I think it wasn't so much them saying what I should do, but rather allowing me what I can be.
Yes.
And I think maybe that's how to look at it. Because if you look at it, I grew up number one most of my school life. So I was top of the class in my school. I was just used to being first, but which also then gave me the freedom to try other things.
Yes.
Whether it's tennis, football, running, piano, violin, debate, chess. There's probably nothing I didn't do.
All-rounder.
And every time I tried, and I always retired at the best of the top of my game.
Yes,
by the way.
yeah.
When I reached my peak in football at 14,
Yeah.
I'm like,
That's it.
you must know when to quit. Winners know when to move on.
Yes, yeah.
So because they allowed me to try those things and they never discouraged me, it allowed me to become more of who I am.
And being open to explore and try
being
new
open
things.
to explore. My grandmother used to say, "Yo, Thebe, learn now. Like Thebe, you're always on the road."
Yes.
Because I'll wake up in the morning, 6, 7, I'll be on the road somewhere, or during the
So
weekend.
you started off as a winner. As you said, you were top of everything. How did you deal with your first failure, or what was that first failure that you thought, oh, yeah, ne?
And maybe because I don't really classify things as failures, if you will. But when I left Kimberley and I came to Johannesburg and I went to Wits University, and at Wits I did my first year, and my first year was the first time. Now I remember at June I got 56, 72, and I can't remember the third mark.
Yes.
So I passed 3 courses. I passed all the courses.
Yes.
But in December, the ones that I got the highest in June, I failed all of them.
Wow.
And I got 47, 47, 47. But nobody's that equally dumb. It was during those days, days, they used to say, we can't have too many niggas go through. Let's just have
A few.
A few. There's quotas in terms
Yes,
of,
yeah.
because I went to Wits, it was a white school. But be that as it may, I didn't really get myself involved in all that. I just decided the following year to keep it moving.
So you just repeated those courses?
I just repeated those courses. I did very well in the repeat, as one should when you're repeating anything.
Yeah.
So I just did well. I just dusted myself up and kept it going. I think that's what having a winning mentality does.
Yes, yeah.
You never feel defeated. And I don't think it was a failure. I know, because I never think about it. Because I just remember I came back.
Yes, yeah.
A bit disappointed in myself, because I was expected more of myself, because I was used to just passing everything, and of course that didn't work out. And I then the following year passed everything, and applied for a scholarship to leave the country.
Yes, yeah.
And so that's how it is. So the way to recover from failure is massive success.
True.
So you always keep going forward and looking for successes, and always not to dwell on the failure.
Yes, yeah.
Because when you dwell on the failure, you are breeding more failure. But when you supplement failure with success, you keep moving.
So is there anything you can't do?
Well, no, I mean,
Just wondering.
no.
Anything, bring it on. I can do it.
I left, like I told you, I left football at 14.
Yes.
So some people will say that's because Unga was with volleyball. You couldn't play football. I'm like, no.
Yes, I was good.
I left football at the peak of my abilities.
Yeah.
So it's how you frame everything else. So to somebody else, some people will not, I don't think there's anybody who's going to tell you that when I used to run 100 meters that I broke any records. But in my mind, I
You
broke
did.
records. Because the first record you break is to participate.
Yes, yeah.
So the fact that I participate in everything, I've tried everything, to me, that's success.
Yes, yeah.
So it doesn't mean that I was the best at it,
True.
but I was definitely the best at trying.
So you got the scholarship and you got to go and study in the US. When you first landed, what crossed your mind?
In America. So those who know me, and I'm sure you can find a few of them in this country, definitely in the city, they'll tell you. I was exactly the guy they met at Wits. Some of them were at Wits before. I was exactly the same guy they met in America.
Yes.
And I never changed anything about me. To me, it was just changing boardrooms, changing classrooms,
environment,
changing
yeah.
environment. But I wasn't, whoa, I'm now free. I'm now going to be well now. I was the same guy that I knew.
Yes.
I walked into America. I think our first step out, I left Joburg, got into Belgium into New York, New York into Ohio.
Yes.
Ohio is a state, so it must be Columbus. I went into Columbus, and I met lots of South Africans because I went on a scholarship for African students. I was one of 80 out of 2,000 who applied, and
Wow.
we got a scholarship to go to there. And I mean, there's some brilliant people actually on that trip. Sipho Sithole, my good friend,
Yes.
professor now at Howard in the US. Professor Chilizi Marwala, who's now the vice chancellor of the United Nations in Japan.
Yes, yeah.
So those are all in my court.
Yes.
And then I arrived there, I met people like Abodani Sabaloi, all who were all at
Already in the
Columbia
States,
then,
yeah.
in the States. So I left South Africa into another South African environment, if you will.
And they embraced you when
They
you're right.
embraced us. Well, they had no choice. There was there's 80 of us in this
Yes.
place, and so it was like home away from home. We spent 3 weeks in there. You know, they placed us with sometimes with host families. They taught us a few things about American culture and some basic things about how to type. You know, because when I left Vets that time, South Africa, we weren't typing, we were writing
Yes,
papers.
everything,
if you remember.
yes, yeah.
We used to write things. So I arrived there, and now we are typing. They taught us how to type. ASDF and blah, blah, blah. I don't know what the rest of it is. But I type very fast and very well.
Okay.
And prepare us for a life in America. So by the time I landed at school in Milwaukee, in Marquette, I was pretty much okay. They used to think that I'm terribly confident.
Yes.
They
There's
used to-
nothing terrible.
Yeah.
They can't have terrible and confident in
Well,
one
no, they
sentence.
just used to think that they used to think that this guy
Is arrogant.
well, not they thought I'm just incredibly confident.
Yes.
First, and I never changed my accent. And they used to say to me, we don't understand you here. You better change your accent.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, I'm sorry, but I'm African.
this
We're
is
gonna
how
have
I
to-
talk.
We're going to have to keep going on the same accent. Never changed my accent. I looked better than most of them because I dressed well every day.
Yes.
I had a stipend, and I used my stipend well. So, we dressed well every day. So I had all the trappings that enabled me to be confident. So I didn't feel poor.
Yes.
I didn't feel like I come from a poor continent or country. I had none of that. I always say, me and my friend Desmond, who owns Signature, we dressed well every day.
So
And
talking
we
about
always,
dressing, yes.
we
People always say you must dress for success.
They say so, right? So
So is it true?
So I think first, and let me use an example. So when I started working for Colgate Palmolive in New York, my first day I left Milwaukee with an MBA to go work in New York.
Yes.
If I show you the pictures now, I probably still look better than 80% of the people I see today. As a student leaving my college.
Yes.
And I look at the pictures, I was like, yo, I would it rap a shame. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
Because
yeah.
that's just me. That's just how I was. But let me tell you, I was already used to dressing well. Coming from home, from Kimberley, whether we dress at Jet or at Salesforce or Edgar's, which were then the standard
Of course,
dressing
yeah.
well. And my mother used to buy us clothes December for winter, December for summer, and June for winter. My mother was a nurse living in another city. So we always were the better dressed kids in my corner. My mother was a professional.
Yes.
But I was living with my grandma in the township. So when I arrived in New York, I arrived maybe 3 weeks before I started my job. I met my mentor, Philip Berry. He was 43 years old, a husband with 2 kids, highest ranking black professional at Colgate. He's a vice president.
Yes.
And we'd go around to shops. He says to me,
He show you where to shop.
He's like, come around. He says, I'll meet you on the weekend. We'll go. It's like, yeah, you must get these guys to make your shirts.
Yes, yeah.
Buy your suits here. Buy your accessories here. He'll buy me books, The Ratchet of the Earth, The Richest Man in Babylon. So give me interesting books. He says, you must read these books. They're interesting books. And one afternoon or one morning, whatever, after one of these trips, he says, let me tell you why I took you to all those places. By the way, I was paying for all these things. I'm not saying I was paying for me.
Yes.
Swiper,
yes. I can just show you where to go.
I'm swiping my student card. So so obviously it was important because it's part of accountability and owning your own story and success. And he said to me one day, he says to me, let me tell you why I took you to those places. He says, there's very few black people at Colgate, which is number 300 Park Avenue, which is the main street for corporate America. Every major corporation, that's their headquarters on Park Avenue. And because in America, Park Avenue is corporate, Fifth Avenue is shopping.
Yes.
I think if I go back, Lexington or one of those is advertising. So it was always easy to categorize New York how it was. I don't know how much it's changed
still
then.
There, yeah.
And then he says to me, he says, when you arrive on the first day in 3 weeks' time, you're going to be one of the very few black people, and you come from Africa. I don't want them to look at you as an African, and perhaps even have a
perception.
Yes,
you're
always from Africa.
Skepsel,
South Africa. He says you need to look exactly like them. He says there's a few black guys. We all shop at the same place, and because it's a look when you work for corporate America. Those days, things have changed now. People wear jeans, t-shirt, but then suits, white shirts or blue shirts, ties, starched. That was a look. And he says, cufflinks, and he said, and we had our names on our shirts.
Yes, yeah.
It would be T.I. for Thebe Ikalafeng. And he said, I want them not to focus on this skepsel from Africa. I want them to engage you on your mind.
Yes.
He says that should be the first point of entry. He says, because if you don't look like them, the first thing they're going to focus on is how you look. And that becomes a distraction.
Yes. But also, dressing is important. And as we said earlier, you need to dress for success. But what about people who think that's all they need? I just need to look sharp and, I've arrived.
No, but remember, I arrived with an MBA already. So I had 2 degrees.
Not for you, but just in general.
I'm agreeing with you that I already had the other stuff.
Yes.
So you must have the basics. So the first thing I always when I talk about personal branding, which I've written about this, I think it was my 3rd book I wrote, was on personal branding.
Yes.
Matter of fact, it was my first book, Conquer the Job Market, that I wrote in 96, was actually around the idea of how to position yourself for the marketplace, for the job place. And one of the things I talked about is dressing for success. And I think Felicia Mabuza always used to say, you must dress for the next job.
Yes.
You must dress up. So if you walk into a place, you know who the big boss is, look what they dress like, dress up like to that position.
Yes, yeah.
They must know where you are headed. So, but the first and important thing I'll always talk about is you must first have the stuff.
You
need to have the stuff. So you must be either educated, or you must have a craft, or you must have a skill. That's because that's the most important currency that they're engaging you for.
Yes.
The other stuff is just now to give you a little edge.
Yes, you need to back it up, as they say.
Back it up, right?
So, looking at your journey, were you very intentional about the path that you want to follow? And have you been successful in achieving everything that you set out to do early in your career?
No, I always tell people success is never final.
Yeah.
Just as failure is never final. But now, remember when I left it, I was studying accounting. I was doing accounting. So I arrived in America in a nightclub in Columbus.
Yes.
And I made a friend, Buzo Khadebe, who was at Wits a year or two before me. He arrived a year or two in America before me. And he said to me in this nightclub, and then I said, oh, no, I'm just here to come to finish off my accounting degree.
Yeah.
Ati wena, accounting, ayukfanele.
Yes, yeah.
Ati just look at yourself and understand yourself.
You can't see yourself with grey shoes and...
accountants
were known for grey shoes.
They were known for those days.
Yeah.
And Ati, Brian, you're more like a marketer. Ati, anyway, forget everything you did in South Africa. You're in America now. different country, different space. Nobody's going to judge you here. Forget all that and just do what you want. So obviously I started first row accounting because that's what I know. Last row, all these others. I went to a liberal arts school. So liberal arts schools, as you know, the US, you the first 2 years, you do everything.
Yes.
You do theology, philosophy, mathematics, statistics, marketing, English. So it was mixed in the first 2 years.
Yeah.
So that by the time you go to third and fourth year,
Yeah.
you have a bit of a, you've now tasted
But, yeah.
everything. My last 2 years, I'm going to spend it on X. Whereas here at home,
So you get
here
a
at home, you start
specialist.
specializing from day one.
Yes,
And then when you fail day one, you feel like a failure and it becomes very disastrous for most people.
Yeah.
So be that as may, so when you talk about was I intentional? Well, not really, because I was accepting of the path as it presents itself.
Okay.
So because remember, you must be open to
Yes,
yourself.
yes,
Not
yeah.
to others.
True.
Because we're going to judge you. And I'm not saying Sibusiso defined my career for me, but what he just said, he says, just be open. He says, explore. He says, I think you're more in the marketing space. That's what I think. And I just opened myself to that. Of course, I then started doing very well in marketing. Marketing Student of the Year in the US. Got an award for that. And I was passing a plus cum
And then
laude.
yes, obviously,
So,
and then you come back here as well. That you're a marketer.
So I come back in South Africa to work for Colgate in Boksburg. They all wear khaki pants.
Is this at the factory?
That's at the box. It's a factory head office.
Okay.
So they all wear khakis, sneakers or funny shoes. Me, I wear suits. I wear a suit my entire corporate life.
Yes, yeah.
I was well packaged every day. And so if there's an intentional, I'm not just intentional, it's an awareness rather than an intentionality. But the intentionality was to be successful, whatever that means, in whatever I take.
And luck, what role does luck play when it comes to
Luck
success?
is incredible. But of course they say, Gary Player says, the more you practice,
The luckier you get.
luckier you get. But what it really means is that they say that success is when opportunity meets practice. So luck is important because if you did the right things, you get seen by
the right people.
Then you get, quote unquote, the right breaks. And sometimes those right breaks are through associations, networks, friends. I mean, when I joined Nike, first I didn't want the job.
Yes.
Then I was sent to, then I refused the job.
So, but did you wear sneakers?
No. I finished
your
my
suits.
entire Nike career, I wore suits. Everybody else wore sneakers and jeans.
Yeah.
Never owned a jean until I left Nike.
Yeah.
But even when we talk about luck and all this, when I was working for PR International, Leo Burnett Company, and I got a call at 5 p.m. and they said to me, this is Willem, I think, whatever, is a Dutch guy from Holland, so the real Dutch. He was an interim marketing guy at Nike, and says, I want to talk to you. He says, I want to talk to you about opportunities at Nike. I'm thinking, labantu banxiba sneakers, they wear track suits. That's not my kind of job.
Yes.
When I left New York, came here, I was intent on wearing suits and driving beautiful cars and living in beautiful places.
Yes.
I know because I didn't understand the whole idea.
It was not on brand.
So it wasn't right.
Yes.
I'm 28 or something at that stage, right? And then then I said to them, out of interest, where do you get my name anyway to call me about these things? They're like, now that's where luck comes in. They said, somebody, Louisa Matthews, said, we must speak to you rather. We interviewed her for the job, and she said, there's somebody we think can do this job better. Imagine, that's like the crack of, we just in the middle of coming out of apartheid. How did Louisa Matthews know me? 6 months after landing in South Africa, or maybe it's 8 months, I don't know, I wrote my first book.
Yes.
That book created a bit of interesting, people got to know I exist. People got to know I breathe or I live. They got to know I dress well. If you look at the cover of the book now, I think I still look better than 80% of the people who wear suits today. On that cover, the book is 30 years old. And Louisa said, that's the guy. I went for the interview. They said, what a discussion. And I said to them, not gonna work. Techies, sneakers, Nike. Futhi basebenzela ekhaya lami in a warehouse at that time.
Yes.
I was like, no, I'm not sure about this. And
So what swayed you to say yes?
they said to me, why don't we send you to America for a week?
Okay.
To Nike's headquarters, to Portland, to the campus.
Yeah.
I don't have a job, but they were them. These people sent me to America. Now I'm thinking, I've been gone from America for 8 months. or
Free trip.
For,
I
for,
can
for 18
see my
months or so.
folks.
I can
see my friends.
free trip, my friends.
Yes.
I was like, nah,
Sure.
so let's do it.
Yeah.
I said just one thing. Don't send me direct.
Yeah.
New York, Milwaukee,
Yes.
Portland.
Yeah.
It's cheaper if you do this. But the truth is, I wanted to see my friends, right?
Yeah.
Friends in New York, friends in in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
So that's
So
yeah.
did you get to meet Phil Knight at that stage? Was he CEO at that stage?
He was still CEO. Then
Yeah.
you'll see Phil Knight, but I never, I'm not sure about what type of person I am because I didn't insist on that. I should have.
Yes, to
But
meet-
I didn't.
yeah.
But of course, I saw him many times because he did many presentations. I mean, he was active then, he was younger.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting. So when I came back, they said to me, "Do you want that?" They said, "How did you find Nike?" I said, "Where do I sign?" So because now I was impressed by a couple of things, which which is probably part of, if you will, an important ingredient of success. I met the first employee at Nike.
Yeah.
And they said, have coffee with him. I had coffee with him, and he explained to me how when they started, how they used to cut the shoes, sell them in the boot of a car, go to race. Phil and Bill Bauman, his co-founder, and it's like, this company, it is about passion. It's about trying to improve. So I started learning a few things. That the reason you must have a clear reason on why your business exists.
Yes.
What purpose you want to have. So I started loving the idea of, this is what a purpose-led organization is like.
Yes.
So when I came back, they said, are you still thinking? I said, ready to sign.
You're sold.
Ready to sign because I didn't see a warehouse. I didn't see techies. I saw the soul of the business.
Okay. So I've got a feature called the Fire 5.
Fire 5, I won't be able to answer those questions. But
Why not?
I can already tell those questions require a degree.
Oh, wow. So these are just quick questions. Don't think too hard on the answer, so whatever comes
I'm a
to you.
thinker.
Well, this time on your toes. Okay, first question. What's your perfect Sunday afternoon?
Oh, depends on the season, whether it's a Formula One season or football. So I'm probably the perfect sports fan.
Yeah.
I lie on my couch. Not too many friends come through. I'm happiest. I'm an introvert. Most people disagree with it, but I don't know what they know about me that I don't know. But I know I like my quiet space. So I like lying around on a couch, flipping from channel to channel. I only watch 2 or 3 channels. I watch news, CNN, 4-5, Africa News, and E-News. Then I watch sports.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it. Okay.
That's my story. I don't watch movies. They take too much time. So
only an hour and a half.
I'm impatient, but I'm lazy. So
Yeah.
when I lie on the couch and just flip through channels,
Yes,
I
yeah.
can watch news the whole night.
Okay. And what's the best gift you've ever received?
So when I was 26, I was finishing my MBA. I think 26, 27, I was finishing my MBA. And a friend gave me a Mont Blanc pen. And,
Do you still have it?
And no, and it had my name on. But you know my people.
Ish.
I'm sure basa balanga in egama lami. So, and I've been using Mont Blancs ever since.
So
That's like
maybe
30
some
plus years.
security is using it somewhere.
Right. So I've been using. That's why it became school. Generally, I don't like things as a gift.
Yes, yeah.
I don't like things, but I'm known as the one who gives gifts, not the one who receives gifts. So
Okay.
if you're gonna give me a gift, it must be something that I find will fill a part that I would have if I had the money, or
Okay.
if I had the time, or if I had the interest.
Okay.
So that's why I've been using Mont Blancs ever since
All
varsity.
right. And then favorite station to listen to?
Favorite station to a radio you're talking
radio.
about. Do you know, I used to wake up all the way to work. I used to have 702 on.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when Greg Maloka was on at Kaya, Kaya was amazing because, you know, had a Pan-African positioning.
Yes, the
And
Afropolitan thing, yes, yeah.
So, but right now, I don't even listen much to radio anymore. I get into the car and I listen to the phone. I'm always on the radio, on the phone. People who know me would drive behind me. They always say, "Sukbonile, you're on the phone again."
Don't you use like Bluetooth or whatever?
Too much effort. Bluetooth, press. It's easier to talk because now, hey, my yeah. I'm dead serious.
Okay.
I'm very bad for traffic. I know.
All right, Pilates or yoga?
No, what are those things? I don't understand what those people do. I see people saying you go lie down and stretch and do. No,
You've never tried yoga?
No, but then I've done things they haven't tried either. I've climbed Kilimanjaro twice. I've climbed Elbrus in Russia. I've climbed Aconcagua in China. I've jumped off of planes. I've done bungee jumping in multiple countries. I've skydived. So no.
Okay, so this leads to me my last question.
I'm not so fit anymore. Anyway, even if I wanted to.
Last question. Anything on your bucket list that you've not ticked off?
I don't have bucket list. I have a life list. So I just live. And I don't set up things that say before Yenzani. I can't have that thing. My whole life and my whole work is a bucket list, if you will. I mean, that's why, or rather, they're intertwined so much. I never know the difference.
Yes,
and because people always ask me, so Bonile, you were there in Morocco. Usebenza nini kinti mengisebenza? And being pila.
Yes, yeah.
So I don't have a bucket list, I have a life.
A life list. So you've been to all 54 countries in Africa, and your latest book, The Traveler, reflects on some of anecdotes around the continent and even locally. What has been your favorite country? Well, outside of South Africa.
Who told you South Africa is my favorite country?
Angazi phela, just in case you have to be patriotic.
I love South Africa. I don't think I can be. I always look forward to coming back home.
Yes.
I don't have a favorite country, but I have different countries which have impacted me in different ways. So
maybe share one or two.
Whether it's Ethiopia through its spirituality, because you know they've got those incredible churches from the BCs, but also spirituality and identity in Ethiopia, because you know they've got their own religion, own language, own food,
own
clothes,
calendar.
own calendar. They are their own people.
Yes.
I love that identity, how different they are. I love how confident Nigerians are. I love how cultured Ghanaians are. I love how proud Botswana people are. So you can say I can go through every country and I can tell you what I like. Because when I travel, I always tell people there's no favorite country. You must find something favorite in every country.
And what's the common thread that you've noticed about every African country?
The common thread across our continent, we're very creative people. We're very resilient. Doesn't matter, nothing brings us down. We are resilient. We keep coming. We keep getting up. Whether it's resilience against incompetent governments, or resilience against poverty, or resilience against illnesses, we're very resilient people. We're very creative. I've said we're very humane. Snobuntu. Everywhere you go, and we're a very hospitable continent. We're always welcoming people, except in Alaikai. But generally, we're very
I like that.
People.
So those are obviously I agree with all of those, but where do we get it wrong in presenting ourselves, branding ourselves to the rest of the world?
I think
because they don't view us that way.
South Africa.
Well, just generally the continent.
I mean, the rest of the continent.
Yeah.
Who doesn't view us? The rest of the world?
The rest of the world doesn't view it. All the wonderful things you've said about the continent.
But they definitely acknowledge the hospitality and the humanity.
Yes, yeah.
They
but
always
the
talk about
creativity,
African
the
people
ingenuity,
are so friendly. You know, they talk about all those type of things because when they come here, they get to make us do stupid things. We dance with them. They make us pose naked and they take pictures and make fun of us. Are you with me?
Yes.
So because we just hospitable people, we are welcoming, and that's why we get taken advantage of. You know, as Kenyatta said, when they came to Africa, they taught us how to pray with our eyes closed. When we open our eyes, they had the land and we had the Bible. And Sister Tandans are even now today.
Yes,
when we leave here, we're going to go to church. We're going to pray for a breakthrough. That's never going to happen. And now they've got the land in their hands.
Yeah.
So I think those two things, hospitality and humanity, that's always been seen.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's been our weakness because people have taken advantage
Of that,
of those two aspects. But in terms of creativity, we're a very creative continent. South Africa has given the world amapiano. Ghana has given the world pedigree, which is a technology to be able to detect whether medicines are counterfeit or not.
Yes.
Kenya has given the world M-Pesa, which is the world's first mobile money transfer. We are definitely.
But we're still
creative
not
people.
seen as the innovators.
It's because we don't recognize the value in what we have. That's how we get taken advantage of.
Yes.
We don't protect our ideas. We don't value our ideas. We wait for somebody to tell us that Mashangan bag is valuable. Waiting for Louis Vuitton to say, put on the logo, Louis Vuitton, it's a beautiful bag. Like, oh, what a beautiful bag. Now I can use it because now you've given the confidence to Wanda Lepoto to be able to make a bag out of Mashangan bag, and now we're all proud to be seen with it. We didn't like Tsepo's jeans until Meghan Markle came to South Africa and put them onto Prince Charlie Archie rather, and afterwards we're like, Tsepo, where are the jeans? Because we're always waiting for somebody to validate us. We get it wrong when it comes to our lack of confidence as a continent and our need to be validated and our need to get the rest of the world to tell us we're okay and we're beautiful. Only when the world tell us, when the world makes Wakanda, when we make Wakanda, people says, "Aish, the movie is too backwards." When Hollywood makes Wakanda, we're like, "Oh, Hollywood, Wakanda, that's us." Go to the opening and the premiere. We're a mess. It's us.
And what legacy are you leaving behind?
What legacy? That's just but I don't think anybody can judge what legacy.
Oh, okay. Maybe I should rephrase. What would you want to be remembered for?
I know, and I was going to build on to that. I think people tell me all the time. I meet young marketers who tell me. Matter of fact, one said to me, he used to work for me actually, and I read about the book, and he says, "I did not know." I wanted to get into marketing because I've read about you. I saw in covers of magazine, and I did not know. I did not know how to explain to my parents because they wanted me to be a teacher, to be a scientist, to be a doctor.
Something they know.
Something they know. And he says you came on TV and you spoke and you represented, and I said, that's what I want to be like. And they were watching TV, and it says, that's who I want to be like. And they says, we get it. And then I get other interesting people, CMOs who are the biggest organizations now. They tell me when they were younger, they were much younger at Unilever, juniors, they used to look at me and they say, that's my reference point on what I want to be. I think I'm going to be remembered for a couple of things. I'm going to be remembered for inspiring people to embrace the career of marketing and branding. I think so. I think mostly they're going to remember me for championing African brands. Because when I created Brand Africa 100, we weren't really talking about African brands. They were there. But now when I created it and I started measuring it, and every year for the last 14 years, I started announcing and showing people that only 20% of the brands that Africans admire made in Africa. They're like, whoo.
Yes.
So now there's a consciousness around African brands. They always tell me that. They're also going to remember the third thing. And Thapelo Mokoena and Unati Nkai said to me last year when I got the GQ Icon of the Year award, and they said that they said to me, you made Africa look really cool. They said, when you started, because remember now I switched from wearing suits every day to now
wearing dashikis and things.
Dressing. Yeah, and remember what I do.
Yes.
And this is what I do. When they invite me for anything formal, I dress African.
Yes.
When they ask me for anything general, weekend, and on, I wear Western clothes. I don't care because I've reduced Western clothes to an everyday thing.
Yes, yeah.
But I've elevated African clothes to the most formal form. So people always. I'm one of the CEOs of the top 3 companies in this country. Meets me in World Economic Forum this year and says to me and sees me dressed in beautiful suit made in Rwanda, beaded neck, and he says to me, I knew I'm going to see you and I knew exactly how you're going to be. Look what my wife packed for me. My wife made me look Eurocentric. Now look at you.
So
I think they're going to remember for 3 things. They're going to remember me for for representing them well in marketing in a way that enabled them to want to make a career out of it. They tell me that every day. For elevating the conversation and consciousness about African brands, for traveling the continent and admiring and accepting the continent for what it is.
It is, yeah.
That's probably the three things. And if they remember for any one of them or all three equally, I'll be fine.
Okay. And then as we heading up towards the end, so we're recently honored by UJ and UNISA. You are now Dr. Ikalafeng. Ikalafeng, sorry. Ikalafeng. Zulu girl.
Zulu girl. Aish, tiqinile man.
Yeah. Don't worry. It's always been the case. What did that do for you, knowing that there are people who are recognizing the inputs that you've had and, the work that you've done in the space?
Well, it was, obviously it's humbling.
Yes.
But also, obviously, the other thing that was interesting about it, I'm the first marketer to receive honorary doctorates for the work that I've done in marketing.
Yes.
Because people get doctorates are people in the arts, scientists, famous people, politician, and I'm just a guy from Kimberley. Come to Joburg, work hard every day in marketing, then I get recognized for that. I think first it was humbling. Two, it was resetting the agenda for the country and for the continent and for the industry. So when that happened, it was interesting how it happened, by the way. On the 12th of October, 2023, I received a letter from UJ. On the 13th of October,
wow,
2023, I received a letter from UNISA. 2 days
it's like they were competing.
They were setting.
Yes, who's going to get to you first?
And I remember to get an honorary doctorate is like a multi-phase process, like 4 or 5 steps, from the nomination to the adjudication, to going to Senate, to going to council, to getting to them doing research on the person, all those type of things, before they say this is the one. Because it is the highest recognition any university can give anyone, higher than a PhD in anything, because it says this person has surpassed the requirements of an ordinary degree and has contributed to thought leadership and to the industry or to what. When it happened, it was humbling. It was satisfying. I think I must say it was satisfying, even though I never aimed or was intentional about I need to get this, I need to get this. There's that's never part of my agenda, and I was known for that. I was known for having turned down one already before, because I was like, when I was offered this a couple of years ago.
So you felt you were not ready?
Well, I suffer from what I call imposter syndrome. I felt, I'm at this thing, eating ifundele, but not understanding the difference. But nowadays I said, it's them saying,
we see you.
We see you. So because we don't see each other often, and that's why I write even in the book about Umbongeni's story. Umbongeni used to drive me, and I write about what they say in isiZulu and Tisawubona. It means we recognize you, we affirm you, we see who you are, and we. So
that's it.
It was beautiful. It was a beautiful day.
Yes.
It was probably the most beautiful 2 days of my whole life. I mean, other than the day I was born. That was for my
well, you
parents.
don't remember that.
I don't remember that. But I mean, it was widely celebrated.
Yes, yeah.
It was widely celebrated. There were the one night we had 120 people. All of we spoke until 1 a.m.
Wow.
At a formal pre-award. The same as the book, The Traveler. I also wrote the book under duress. I didn't think I was ready. I said, let me write the book, finish it, get it out of the way, because I really wanted to write about brands, but they want me to write about the journey. I said, if you want me to write about the journey, I'm going to start from where the journey starts, from Kimberley to where I am now, because we are all on a journey, and our stories matter. So, and even then, the launch, which was 600-700 people. They say it was the biggest launch in the country since Nelson Mandela's long walk to freedom.
Sure.
And I wasn't aware. And because also of how the launch was, a combination of everything I was dressed by Thebe Magugu from Kimberley, where I come from. They had drums. We had Simpuwe Dana singing. It was a beautiful day.
It was.
Celebrate was an
It was,
African
yeah.
day.
Thank you, Thebe. I think that's a perfect place to just put a pause on our conversation. You never know. We might pick it up sometime
We'll pick it up sometime.
In the future.
Let me get on the journey.
Yes, yeah, we're on this journey. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure having you.
Thuli, thank you so much. Beautiful show. Thank you for having me over.
It's a pleasure.
I can't believe how hard you work even on Saturday.
Hey, a girl's got to do what a girl's got to do.
Yes,
yeah.
Thank you so much.
If you've enjoyed our conversation with Thebe, make sure that you comment, you like today's episode, and don't forget to share it with your friends and family. And of course, subscribe. We're trying to grow the Success Rate family.